In this video, we are going to learn virtual environments, which are a hard concept for people to understand. And in this video, my main goal is to get you to visualize it. I'm going to use an example of a kitchen. The kitchen is basically Python where we cook. Python is the tools and everything else we need to cook something. But virtual environments makes our kitchen clean, makes our kitchen not be contaminated when we're trying to cook different things. So I'm trying to make you visualize. It's not just about, the command of running virtual environments, but the idea. If you understand the idea, the commands become really easy. So that's the whole point of this video. It is part of my Python course. I have a full Python course, and early on in the course, I added a whole section about virtual environments and about running existing code. Before you even write code, you have to run existing code. And I put links to those. Some of those are published on YouTube, so I put the links down there. But feel free to check out the course. Feel free to check out the whole program that I have. Is free for a whole month. So all of that is in the description. If you have any questions, please let me know in the comments. I'm very happy to help. Virtual environments are a little bit hard initially to conceptualize, but they're very useful and they come up all the time. So, bite the bullet and just learn them right now, and it would pay off in a big way. It's not hard at all. It's just initially it's something new you've never experienced. But this kitchen analogy that I'm going to use should make it very clear. I feel like it would really help. So enjoy the video. Give this video a like. If you're new here, subscribe. My name is Armas Kung Fu. I run supersqa.com, and all I do is teach QA automation, software engineering, and test anything related to that. So enjoy the rest of the video. All right, in this video, I just want to explain virtual environments and the concept of using virtual environments. And we are going to create a few of them, activate them, and use them. But most importantly, the most important part is understanding the concept. How to use them, how to create them, that's the easiest part. But just visualizing it, why we need them, how they work, that is really, really important. So I'm going to take my time and explain that in this video. And I'm going to use an easy analogy, which is basically a kitchen, right? So let's start from that. Let's understand the concept, and then we go from there. In the previous video, you saw about libraries, right? There is a video about Python libraries. What are Python libraries and dependencies? Those are code that other people wrote, that we download into our system when we're trying to build something, because Python gives us the basics, but we need more than just the basics. And this is the analogy we use, right? We have a kitchen, right? Let's think of Python as a kitchen where we cook, where we make stuff, right? So we download Python. Python gives us a lot of basic stuff, a lot of things that we need to be able to cook, but it doesn't have everything for bigger things, right? Like, so if we want to build something more fancy, more complicated, Python itself does not have that. So it's like having a kitchen. Remember, hopefully it's not too repetitive for you, but we have a kitchen, and the kitchen has some equipment like a fridge, a stove, all the shelves, and the oven, microwave, and some ingredients. I have a few ingredients displayed here, like basics like onions, tomatoes, and some salt and pepper, like basic stuff that you need to create basic things. Let's say you want to just create a soup or something like that. You have that in the kitchen. So Python is like that. You get all the equipment, you get all the infrastructure, and you get stuff to be able to make some basic things. But when you want to do fancy stuff, when you want to actually build applications, there are specialties that you need. Those specialties are code that people already created. You don't have to create it. You could, but you don't have to reinvent the wheel. So somebody already created some code that does the functionality that you need. So you're going to go download that and you're going to use it. So in the kitchen analogy, so here after is you're going to be like, oh, I'm going to cook. I keep using Thai food as an example. Let's look at Thai food, right? You say, I want to cook Thai food. So I'm going to need some special spices. So you're going to go to the store and you're going to bring some spices into your kitchen. So what we see here before is the kitchen is nice and clean. The shelf is empty. It has some basic things. That is pure Python as you download it. That's your system Python. Then what you can do is you can go and bring in spices and fill in your rack, right? So now your kitchen has more things into it. So now what you do is you already have one kitchen, you bring in a bunch of spices, you add there. Now what happens when you want to cook another thing? Let's say you want to cook Indian food, a whole different set of ingredients, a whole different set of spices. So you're going to have to go and get those. And if you use the same kitchen, you're going to just keep adding a bunch of things and your kitchen is going to be contaminated, right? Flavors are going to mix. You can't have two different versions of the same thing, right? You can't have spicy paprika and mild paprika. You can't do that. You're going to have to do one or the other. So if you start cooking Indian food, you can't cook Thai food. I'm not saying there's paprika in any of those. That's the first spice that came to my mind. Okay, so that's the idea. So what we want to do is you want to create, if you could, create a copy of the kitchen. You have the clean, nice kitchen. So as we can see here, the top left, we see we have the empty shelf, we have the basics. This is your system Python. This is the kitchen you started with. This is what you download. So this is the system Python. Now I want to create Thai food. So what you can do is you can create a copy of that kitchen, like literally take the kitchen, make a copy of it. So your original kitchen stays untouched. And in the copy, you're going to go and add all your ingredients. You're going to go to the store and get a bunch of spices for Thai food. Now you want to cook Indian food. You're going to make another copy of the kitchen here, create a copy of it, and you can add whatever spices you want to add to it. And if you want to make something else, in the previous example, I said Ethiopian food. If you want to make Ethiopian food, you don't want to mix up all the spices. You just want to create a copy of the kitchen. And in that copy that's specifically for Ethiopian, you have all the basics, right? You have the system, but then you add whatever you want to do to it. So that's pretty much what you're going to do with Python. So you have the Python folder, you have the main Python installation, your system Python. And when you want to create an environment, a separate project, you're going to copy it. And there's a command for that. The copy is a virtual environment. That's what we're trying to get at. Virtual environment is basically a copy of the actual Python code. Now on Windows, it's literally a copy of the folder. On a Mac, there is some funky stuff that's happening. It's not really a copy, it's a symbolic link to the original one. But to visualize it, it's okay. We can say it's copy because on Windows, it literally is a copy. So we're going to copy it. I just want to put that there. So in case somebody that already knows virtual environments, it looks at this and be like, oh, it's not a copy. I'm like, yeah, I'm just trying to make it easy to understand. Okay. But on Windows, it is a copy. So back to this. So we're going to copy the Python. We have Python, our kitchen, where we downloaded, clean and nice. It's our system. We can go in and install stuff in there. But like I said, the more you add, even though you can delete stuff that you don't need, it's not going to be as clean as the original. So it's always better, make a copy of it, do whatever you want to do with the copy, and you can just delete it later on. Make another copy, do whatever you want to do with it, you can delete it later on. So that's really the whole point of a virtual environment. Just like the kitchen, you copy it and you add a bunch of ingredients. In this case, it's a folder, you copy it. So Python is like a folder. Inside of it, there's a bunch of all the tools and stuff, right? Think of that folder as a kitchen. You copy it, you do a bunch of things. Once you're done, you get rid of it. By doing a bunch of things, let's say for Thai food, you're going to need a bunch of Thai spices. For Indian food, you're going to need a bunch of Indian spices, right? Same thing with projects. For a Selenium project, you're going to need a bunch of Selenium, blah, blah, blah. If you want to do some AI project, you're going to need some AI specific things in it. If you're going to do some other kind of web scraping project, you're going to need a bunch of libraries related to web scraping. That's kind of what it is. So how do you create that copy? It's not right-click copy. There's a special command, which is a virtual environment, right? So the command is going to be Python. If you're on a Mac, most likely you have to do Python 3. And on my Mac, I have to say Python 3. So when I say Python, it always depends on how your system is set up. You might have to say Python 3. You might have to say just Python. So here, you're going to do Python -m venv in the name of the virtual environment you want to create. So in this case, if I say Python -m venv, my venv, is going to create a folder called my venv, which is a copy of the original Python. If I say Python -m venv foo, it's going to create a folder called foo. If I say Python -m venv, that's the command. The one you see in the red is the name of the folder, right? If I call it bar, it's going to create a folder called bar. That's really how we create those virtual environments. Now let's go and actually do it. But the main thing is you get the concept. The concept is when somebody says create a virtual environment, what you're doing is you're copying Python into its own little folder, and everything you do it there for that particular project, because when you're done with it, you get rid of it, your system Python remains clean. That's really the whole goal of virtual environments. Now let's go ahead and start actually creating some virtual environments and using it. So let's see. So we're going to do things in terminal. A virtual environment is a terminal thing, but what we're going to do is we can first create a folder. I'm going to go to desktop and I'm going to say venv tutorial or tutorial venv. There's a reason I did that. Okay, so in my desktop, I'm going to create a tutorial venv folder. Inside of it, let me create my Selenium project. So let's assume this is a Selenium project that we downloaded from somewhere. It has all the code. So we're going to go into that folder and we're going to create a virtual environment so we can install the dependencies for that particular project. So here, let's say we're going to go to cd desktop, cd tutorial venv, then cd my Selenium projects, right? If I do ls, it's empty. Now we're going to create a virtual environment. What was the command? Python 3 -m venv. That is the command. Now I'm going to give it the name of the virtual environment. So I can name it anything. I'm going to just do afadf just for now, right? Hit enter. This is going to create a folder with that name. If I do ls now, there's that folder. So you can see it here too, right? There is that folder. Now we're going to go ahead and activate the virtual environment. To do that on a Mac, the command is source. It's going to be lowercase source, the name of the folder, AFA, whatever I did. Let me kill this to make it clear. If I do ls, that's the name of the folder, source, AFADF, bin, activate. Hit enter. That is activate. That now everything I do here is going to be inside of the virtual environment because it is activated. To check, I can say which Python or which Python 3 is going to, should be the same thing, is going to give me the paths of that virtual environment. That's how you're going to check if it's using the right virtual environment or not. If I was outside of the virtual environment, let me deactivate it real quick. Deactivate. Now it's going to deactivate. If I do which Python 3, it's going to show me this is the Python 3 I'm using. This is the system one, like library, frameworks, blah, blah. That's the system one. But once I activate it, it's going to show me, it's going to use the one that's inside. That is important to know how to check. Once you activate it, did it really activate? Yeah, you should be able to see it right here, but you should be able to check also doing by which. So let me create another virtual environment. I'm going to do clear. If I do ls, that folder is still there. I can still create another one. It doesn't matter, right? So I'm going to say Python 3 -mvenv. Now I have a habit which is very helpful to name my virtual environments venv dash something reminder. In this case, Selenium, I'm going to do se, right? When I see folders, normally in a project, you have tons of folders, right? You don't know which folder is part of the project and which folder is a virtual environment. So what I do is I always prefix it with venv. The virtual environments that I create, I do venv underscore some name. That way, as soon as I see the project, right away, I know it's venv. And also in git ignore, I can always ignore any folder that starts with the word venv to ignore virtual environments, because you don't want to check in virtual environments into your repository. That's like checking the entire Python code into your code. You don't want to do that. So anyways, that's a little tip I give you that I find very helpful. Name the virtual environments venv underscore something. Hit enter. That is going to create the virtual environment. If I do ls, now both those exist and I can activate it. Source, venv se, bin, activate. Now, if I was to install something, so first let's actually pull it up, right? So we can see that, let me go here. Inside of my venv se, there is a bin folder. Inside of bin, there is include lib. Inside of lib, there is Python 3.11, site packages. As you can see, there is nothing here, right? There's no Selenium here. So now let's go ahead and install Selenium. The virtual environment is activated. What I'm going to do is pip install Selenium. Hit enter. This is actually going and downloading Selenium, all the code for Selenium. That's the code that somebody else wrote that I want to use for my project, right? That's what the dependency is. That's what the library is. And I don't want to put Selenium into my system, because tomorrow I might want to use a different version of Selenium. Tomorrow I might want to use Playwright. I don't want to just keep adding a bunch of stuff. Oh my God, there's so much that I download. I don't want to corrupt my system. I want to keep it into its own little environment, and then I can just get rid of that environment, just like that kitchen. You create a copy of the kitchen and you cook in there and you just get rid of it. Okay. All right. So now Selenium is installed. Site packages. Remember earlier it was barely anything. Now we have Selenium and a bunch of other stuff. So what happens is when you install Selenium, Selenium itself has its own dependencies. So Selenium is going to go and download a bunch of dependencies. So that's why even though we just say install Selenium, but install a bunch of things, because Selenium itself needs a bunch of dependencies. So that's really the whole point. When you create a virtual environment, everything you download and install, they are installed in that environment. So right now, if I want to get rid of all this stuff, let's say I'm done with this project, all I have to do is delete this venv folder. It's just a folder at this point, and I'm good to go. Right? My system is clean. My original Python is untouched and clean. Okay, so let's do one more example, and let's do in a real project, for example, right? So I'm going to go to GitHub. Let's see. I'm going to open a new window, and I'm going to go to GitHub. I could just edit this out, but there's no point. Let's do a to-do app. I have a Flask to-do app, right? To-do app Flask demo. Let's pull that up, and let's say I'm going to clone this. I'm going to copy. I can do download or I can do clone. Local. I can do download zip. You can do that. Let's do that, because by now you're probably not familiar with Git yet. So I'm going to do download zip. I'm going to download it to here, to the downloads folder. There's a section coming up in the Python course. that we go do this. Like literally the whole section is about downloading some code and executing it, downloading some code and executing it. So practice that. And on some of those, we do run virtual environments. So we're going to go to downloads, and I'm going to unzip this, and I'm going to copy the file, and we're going to go to desktop, and I'm going to go to tutorial venv, and I'm going to paste it there. I'm going to rename it because it's 2. I already downloaded it, so it added 2 by default. I'm going to remove that. I could have just kept it, but having a space in the name, it's just a headache, right? You just want to avoid that. So now we want to go into this folder. So I'm going to open, let me open a new terminal. I'm going to do command N for a new one. I'm going to go cd desktop, cd tutorial venv. If I do ls, I have these 2 folders, cd to do app main. Right? If I do ls here, as soon as you can see requirements.txt, you know this library has dependencies. Right? If we can just cat that out, cat requirements.txt, it just means print. So the file, the requirements.txt, has all this. It has Flask, Ninja, markup, something. Okay, all of those are Python dependencies. Now we can install those one at a time. So if I just do right now pip install and install the requirements.txt, or install one library at a time, pip install Flask, what it's going to do is it's going to install it in my system Python. I never activated a virtual environment. It's going to install it in the main Python for my computer. It's like putting those spices in my main kitchen. But what I want is this app is its own thing and it has its own dependencies. Why don't I create a separate environment so I can install a bunch of stuff that I need and I can just get rid of it at the end? So I need to create a virtual environment. I need to create a copy of that kitchen so I can add all the spices for this dish that I'm trying to make. So I'm going to create a virtual environment. So I'm going to say Python 3 -m venv. I'm going to call it venv to do. Right, hit enter. This is going to create the virtual environment. It should be pretty quick. Now I'm going to activate it. Source venv to do bin activate. Now it's activated. Now I can install it. I can say pip install -r requirements. -r requirements.txt, we'll look at that later. Is basically instead of doing pip install one library, pip install another library, we can just install everything at once that's inside of this requirements.txt. Now everything is installed. I can go ahead and run the application. So I create a virtual environment, activate it, install the stuff, and run it. When I'm done with it, I can just close the terminal, or I can do deactivate, and that will deactivate it. You see the prompt changes. Okay, so hopefully you find this very helpful. It is just the concept. If you get the concept, as you can see, the command is pretty much straightforward. Understanding the concept of why we need a virtual environment, what it is, how it's helping us, that is really important. So if you are taking the Python course and you're doing this as part of that and it's confusing, please skip it. And like I always say, skip it. It's not required. Later on, when we're working on bigger projects, when you get to the Selenium section, that's when you're going to need virtual environments, because you want to keep your system clean. But at this stage, even in the Selenium course, you're not going to have tons of libraries. So it's okay if you just install stuff in your main system Python, because it's not going to be that corrupted. But later on, when you start to experiment a lot of things, right now, every week there's a new AI coming out and you want to run it locally. AI is all Python, right? Most of it is Python. So you want to run it locally. You don't want to just run a bunch of different AI that just came out that's not tested in your system. But environment, you like separate virtual environment. That's really the main use case there. All right, so enjoy, and I'll see you on the next one. All right, so hopefully you learned something. You were able to follow along, and if you have any questions, let me know. I'm very happy to help.